Romans 8, 1 through, we're going to read 1 through 14, but we're going to read 1 through 3 and then jump. So we can precept it. So Paul tell you, like, look, in my flesh dwelleth no good thing. But, hey, in my mind, I serve the law of God, right? But in my flesh, the law of sin. So he's letting you know he's caught up in the limbo, right? He know he's supposed to be doing right, but he keep going left. And that's the battle, Israel. The battle is what? The battle is for your soul. It's for your mind. What are you entertaining when you're tempted to do evil? Do you entertain it? Do you get placed to the devil? Yeah, sit on down, Satan. Here, want something to drink, dog? Something to eat? Or do you tell him, no, you can't sit down. Get up out of here. Ain't no place for you here. And that's what it come down to, brothers and sisters. That's what it come down to. The battle for your mind, which is your soul. All right? Romans chapter 8.
Chapter 8, verse 1.
That's up.
There is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Christ Jesus.
There is no condemnation to them that are in Hamashiach Yahushua, Christ Jesus. No condemnation. Come on, brother.
Who walk not after the flesh, but after the spirit.
Who to walk not after the flesh. If they're alive and walking, then they're in their skin. So this flesh doesn't mean skin. The flesh in her means what? It means a carnal mind. So if you're walking after the spirit and not after the things that that the rest of the world are walking after, guess what? There's no condemnation to you. All right, come on, brother.
For the law of the spirit of life in Christ Jesus had made me free from the law of sin and death.
Why? Because sin is a law to those that keep it. So the spirit of life in Christ has made me free from that law of sin. You got power to conquer that. And we do. What happens though? We love our flesh too much. And we'll start entertaining it. And then we'll let Satan sit on down. You hear me? Then after sin finishes running this course, it brings forth death. That's why all of us die. All right? Come on, brother.
Verse 3.
Yeah.
For what the law could not do.
So what couldn't the law do? We just read what the brother said. The law is holy, it's just, it is good. But I'm a wretched man. I've been banging against what's right and what's wrong. There's another law of my members warring against the law of my mind, bringing me into captivity to the law of sin. So what couldn't the law do? Is the question. Hold that. We're coming right back there, but we got to go break down what this means. Hebrews chapter 10, brother. Hebrews chapter 10. What couldn't the law do? And then we're going to go back to Romans 8 and get to understanding. That's what it's about. Line upon line, precept upon precept. Here a little and there a little. Right? So far we ain't read nothing to where Paul done loosed you from your accountability of keeping the commandments of the Most High. We ain't read nothing like that, but he's about to go into transition of priesthood. There was a law governing the priests, and then there was a law governing the people that everybody had to do. But if the priests were in the temple of God, officiating in the temple of God according to the law of God. And they stood up under that order until Christ died, gave up the ghost, and the veil in the temple ripped. Behind that veil only went a Levite, a son of Aaron, a high priest once a year. That veil ripped, ending the order of Aaron. Now the temple is not a physical building, you are the temple. And the priest that is inside your temple is the spirit of the ascended Christ, because he's the high priest after the order of Melchizedek. All this is spiritual now. All of it. You see that? And a lot of brothers don't teach that. But I have yet to see brothers teach the difference between Aaron and Melchizedek. It ain't even being taught today. You know, you just got brothers saying, keep the law. The other brothers saying, no, you ain't got to keep the law. Let's believe in Christ. And they're not understanding priesthood. That's very important for you to understand the letters of Paul. You got to get into the priesthood of what has happened. So what couldn't the law do? All right, let's get it. Hebrews 10.
Hebrews chapter 10,
yes,
verse
sir.
1.
Let's get it.
For the law, having a shadow of good things to come.
What is a shadow? A shadow is a representation of something, of you, or whatever it may be. Like your shadow is not you, but it's a representation of you. So it's saying the law was a shadow of something that was coming. It was the shadow. It wasn't what was coming. It just was the shadow of what was coming. All right, come on.
And not the very image of the things. Can never with those sacrifices.
Never with those what?
With those sacrifices.
So we're talking a sacrificial law, brothers and sisters. For what the law could not do, it could never with those sacrifices, come on.
Which they offered year by year, continually make the commerce thereunto perfect.
So now we know what Romans 8 and 3 is talking about when it says what the law couldn't do. We just read it right there. It said right here.
Which they offer year by year continually, make the commerce thereunto perfect.
It said can never with those sacrifices. So what couldn't it do? The sacrificial law could not make the comers thereunto perfect as pertaining to their conscience. It could never take away sin. It just appeased the wrath of the Most High until Christ came and was the ultimate sacrifice. It could never take away sin, because if that was the case, there wouldn't have been a need for Christ to come and become the sacrifice. So what the law couldn't do, brothers and sisters, was take away sin. It just was something put into place. It just was a shadow of something that was coming. And that's what the Pharisees and them couldn't get. They couldn't understand that. And Christ letting it be known, look, you don't believe I'm he, you're going to die. You see what I'm saying? So that's what we in now. It could never with those sacrifices. Come on, brother.
Verse 2.
Yeah.
For then, would they not have ceased to be offered? Because that the worshippers once purged should have had no more conscience of sin.
Right, come on.
But in those sacrifices, there is a remembrance again made of sins every year.
Come on.
For it is not possible that the blood of bulls and of goats should take away sin.
Now you know what Romans 8:3 is talking about. What couldn't the law do? It could not take away sin. It is not possible that the blood of bulls and goats could take away sin. Only the shed blood of Christ. We are not under the law to the priest anymore. We are under the law to Christ now, because he became the ultimate sacrifice. This does not free you up from observing the Sabbath. This does not free you up from you can be an adulterer, a murderer, a thief. No, man. And that ain't what Paul teaching. He's simply teaching you the difference between the law of the priest and what they call the law of Moses sometimes, or the order of Aaron, or the Levitical priesthood. All those are the same thing. You're not up under that. You're up under the law of Christ, because Christ came and defeated death and took onto him the high priest, because he put his life on it. All right, come on, brother. Read on down to 8.
Verse 5. Wherefore, when he cometh into the world, he said, sacrifice and offerings thou wouldest not.
Right.
But a body hast thou prepared.
Most High didn't want sacrifice and offerings, even though he set it up 430 years after we came out of Egypt. That's the law. The law of sacrifice was the law that was added for transgression. So Most High didn't want that. He prepared a body for his son to be the sacrifice. All right, come on, brother.
In burnt offerings and sacrifices for sin,
right,
thou hast had no pleasure.
That's what the Most High don't have pleasure in, burnt offerings and sacrifices for sin. Christ is the sin offering, the burnt offering, the meat offering, the drink offering, the peace offering, the free will offering. He's all that. His body fulfilled all the Levitical laws that the priests and all them had to do within the temple. His life, resurrection, testimony, and death, and resurrection, and ascension fulfilled all that. All right, so now you're supposed to walk as a new creature in Christ. How do you do that? Start with the 10 Commandments. Start there, because that's the foundation of what the Most High is talking about. That's going to be the order of the kingdom of heaven, believe it or not. The same commandments that the preachers tell you you ain't got to keep. You might as well start practicing now. You're going to be able to practice when you get there. Don't you practice before you go to the game? Come on, brother.
Then said I, Lo, I come in the volume of the book.
Yeah.
It is written of me to do thy will, O God. Above, when he said, sacrifices and offerings and burnt offerings and offerings for sin thou wouldest not, neither hadst pleasure therein, which are offered by the law.
They are offered by the law. God gave a law after we came out of Egypt, not just the commandments, but orders to the priests, in which they are supposed to atone and officiate in the temple as mediators between the Most High and the people. For sin offerings and drink offerings and all type of stuff, man. That was Levi's job out of the 12 tribes of Israel. All right, come on, brother.
Verse 9.
Yeah.
Then said he,
yeah,
Lo, I come to do thy will, O God. He taketh away the first, and that he may establish the second.
He take away the first covenant, that way he may establish the second covenant. And we're going to go get that, because we're going to read about the new covenant. A lot of y'all claim y'all, are we up under the new covenant? Let's go read about it. We're going to see when does it take effect and who does it apply to. Read on down to 10 in that, bro.
Verse 10.
Yeah.
By the which will we are sanctified through the offering of the body of Jesus Christ once for all.
Once for all. You see that? Say, by which we are sanctified or clean through the offering of the body of Jesus Christ once and for all. So what the law could not do, and that it was weak through the flesh, it could never take away sin. It was not possible that the blood of bulls and goats should take away sin. We are sanctified by the offering of the body of Christ once and for all. That's what this has come down to. So it's just been a transition in priesthood, brothers and sisters. It has not been anything like what the preacher is telling you, that you're not held to the law anymore. In fact, let's go show that real quick. Hebrews 7. Transition in priesthood. Hebrews 7, 11 through 22. There's a this is the law that you're not under. You see that? A lot of people are doing slaughtering Paul's writings. You see what I'm saying? Like if we had to put them on trial though, and we go based strictly off what's in the record and not off what other people are saying, it will clear up all the confusion out here. We got to start going off what's in the record. What does the record say? Later for what my mama said or what my pastor said. What does say of the record? All right, let's get that. Hebrews 7, verse 11.
Hebrews chapter 7, verse 11.
Yeah.
If therefore perfection were by the Levitical priesthood, for under it the people received the law,
right,
what further need was there that another priest should arise after the order of Melchizedek, and not be called after the order of Aaron?
See that? So the order of Aaron was the Levitical priesthood. And the priests were in charge of officiating the temple of the Most High. They were in charge of receiving tithes every year at harvest time. They was in charge of the judgments, sprinkling blood on the altar for remission of your sins and all that. Lighting the menorahs, lighting incense at the hour of prayer. It was a lot of different courses of priests, like 24 courses of priests. And they all had specific jobs within the temple of God. That was their job until the one would come to do away with all that. All right? Come on, brother.
Verse 12.
Yeah.
For the priesthood being changed, there is made a necessity, a change also of the law.
So Paul, like, look, if the priesthood has been changed, the law concerning the priests have changed. That's when you read Paul and it says, ye are not under the law, but under grace and under faith and all that. That's what he's talking about. It's like, you're not under the law to the priests. It's going to take your full belief and faith in the blood of Christ to come up from up under the priests who were established to do what they were doing for thousands of years. So for this new movement that kicked off back in ancient Jerusalem, for anybody that was going to jump on board, they would have had to be fully persuaded or had a faith that they were covered by the blood of Christ who just was crucified. For them not to go back to the established order that was going on for thousands of years, they would have had to be fully persuaded in mind that I don't need to go to them no more. That veil is ripped, that temple is split in half. These priests have lost all the power. He is resurrected and he has ascended. He has all power. So when it says you are not under the law, but under faith, it's letting you know you're under the law to Christ now. You're not under the law to the order of Aaron or the law of Moses or the Levitical priesthood. You're under the law of Christ. That's the transition. Read that verse 12 again, brother.
Verse 12.
Yeah.
For the priesthood being changed, there is made of necessity a change also of the law.
Made of necessity. It's necessary to change the law concerning the priests because the priesthood has been changed. Come on, brother.
For he of whom these things are spoken pertaining to another tribe, of which no man gave attendance at the altar.
Right, because at the altar in the temple there were only Levites. But see, Christ sprang out of the tribe of Judah. He wasn't out the tribe of Levi. I mean, they're all Israelites out of the 12 tribes of Jacob, their father. But the fourth tribe, or the fourth son, was Judah. The third son was Levi. Their descendants were Levites and Judites. But the Levites were the only ones that were allowed in the temple of God to officiate at the temple of God, in the altars. So Levi was only in the temple, not Judah. All right, come on, brother.
Verse 14.
Yeah.
For it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah, of which tribe Moses spake nothing concerning priesthood.
Right, the Judites were the kings. They weren't the priests. You see that? But Christ then took over the kinghood, the king seat, the priesthood, and he's top prophet. That's why they bought him gold, frankincense, and myrrh when he was born. One for a king, one for a priest, and one for a prophet. You see that? Because he's top dog now. He took over the kings, the line of kings. He took over the priesthood, and he's top prophet now. Come on, brother.
And it is yet for more evident, for that after the similitude of Melchizedek, there arises another priest.
Come on.
Who is made not after the law of a carnal commandment,
right,
but after the power of an endless life.
Yahweh was made after the power of an endless life. I mean, he was so supernatural with it that he was dead for 3 days and 3 nights, and his flesh didn't even decay. His flesh saw no corruption. You do the math. Rigor mortis set in 7 hours. 7 to 12 hours, rigor mortis set in. All right, come on, brother.
For he testified, thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek.
Verse 18. This is what your preacher was talking about right here. Verse 18.
Right. For there is verily a disannulling of the commandment going before the weakness.
For the weakness.
And
unprofitableness thereof. So he say, being that the Levitical priesthood was weak and unprofitable, the commandment concerning the priest is disannulled. Come on, brother.
For the law made nothing perfect, but the bringing in of a better hope did.
Right.
By the which we draw near unto God.
Come on.
And in as much as not without an oath he was made priest.
Right.
For those priests were made without an oath. But this with an oath by him that said unto him, the Lord sware and will not repent. Thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek.
And we're going to get Psalms 110 because David prophesied at this time. Back in the Old Testament. All right, come on.
By so much was Jesus made a surety of a better testament.
Okay, let's grab Psalms 110 real quick, 1 through 4. We're going to get back to this Romans chapter 8. And that's how you're supposed to study the Bible, brothers and sisters. Line upon line, precept upon precept. If you don't understand something in the Bible, you have to go get the match to it. It's mate. Everything mates up. Everything has a second witness to it. Everything.